Stop the cap.
Many of the issues and many of the frustrations that Black women in America have is that they are not in the same social status as white women. And that's really comes down to it, that they don't have the myth of white womanhood. They don't have the upper middle class lifestyle that they aspire to. That is at the core frustration. Whether or not they admit it, the core frustration is that again, Black men have not been able to build a system or build something in America that puts them on the same level socioeconomically as white women. That's just really what the frustration goes down to. And this is why you also have the conversations about where all the good Black men, Black when they're in jail or they're snow bunnies and all that kind of different stuff. And then all the high earning Black men are with Becky. Again, it's because they're mad that they don't have that socioeconomic position and high numbers. That is the core frustration, and we're seeing this. And again, we're seeing these ideas being birthed out of universities, being birthed out of college.
So on the backup channel, which was my original channel before I got flagged on this channel, and I would just suggest share, tell other people that want to listen to my commentary to come over here, because that other video got flagged, and it's in appeal right now. The out of bounds video, which was an hour and 38 minutes, responding back to largely FD Signifier, but I was talking about septum, what was it? Septum ring theory. And people, I don't know why people are calling it that, but they're apparently calling that because the woman made a video about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, and she was talking about, basically blaming Dr. Frances Cress Welsing for upholding patriarchy and the way that Black men think. And, she had a nose ring, so that's why people are calling it that. And then I was listening to Tariq Nasheed, and then I was listening to FD Signifier. And FD Signifier shit was pissing me off because he does the same the typical thing that even the women do, which is you cannot use, and this is what one of the things that has always frustrated me. Either you support patriarchy or you don't support patriarchy. If you don't support patriarchy, then you can't use patriarchy as the yardstick or the measuring stick. And there's a whole bunch of semantic games that take place, like where it'll be said, well, Black men are offering Black patriarchy. They're not offering white patriarchy. They're not offering what white men are offering, which is really what, a lot of this conversation comes down to. Yes, we know about racism. We know about white supremacy. We know about all that. We know about the way that Black men have been disenfranchised. But there's a lot of, for whoever the factions are that don't like patriarchy, whether it's LGBTQ, whether it's, the feminists, and let me say this, like there's a difference between, the feminists that actually still want to be with men, but want to have situations of equality, right, between Black men and Black women. And I'm willing to have conversations with those women because they actually want to be with Black men. But then you got this other faction of LGBTQ women that, they don't even date men. A lot of the scholarly people, the PhDs, all these people that are at the universities that are being backed and paid, by their white liberal backers, they're essentially being funded to, operate in Misandry and throw stuff up about Black men, rewrite history. They always kill me with the, 1 minute it's Black men were Danny Glover, and there's this system of Black evil patriarchy that was oppressing Black women, and then the next minute it was, Black men are all dusty, and mind you, Black men going for equality is dustiness, right? So even when they get Black men exactly where they want them, right, which is to subscribe to equality, that's dusty, right? So you see how you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because if you subscribe to patriarchy, you're the oppressor. If you subscribe to 50-50 equality, then you're dusty, because she can't, get all it is that she wants from you that mirrors white society. And this goes into a brother, I think it was like Mr. Z or something like that, on Dr. T. Hassan Johnson's video. And Cap and I, we have touched on this. We have touched on this, and this is the whole. And I like the terminology that they were using. I went and, obviously there's been papers and stuff written on this, and this reminds me of Margot Jefferson, and her commentary on it, right? Which is, the idea of what was it? The what is it? The myth of white women or something like that. I think that's what it's called. And this rolls right into respectability politics and all that, and these women wanting to basically be, there's multiple things going on here, but they want to be, you know in the same position as like suburban upper middle class white women. And a lot of the animosity, and I peep this with the divestors. A lot of their animosity is, I've said this to Captain Solo numerous times. I'm like, there's something deeper going on here. And I'm saying, we get into the stupid arguments of colorism and all that, and how black women, they may be colorist against light skinned dudes, but light skinned dudes aren't their counterpart. So, they're not, they still prefer black men, but they don't really have any respect for black men. And there's actually something that's worse when you're a brown to dark skinned black man than if you're a light skinned black man. Where if a light skinned black man is not interested in black women, he just gets dismissed, because at the end of the day he doesn't qualify as a real black man to begin with. But when you're a brown to dark skinned black man, like your the issue that they have with you is the fact that basically they're a black woman and they're attached to you, and we live in this world, and this is where like a lot of the neuroticism comes into play, right? Because we live in a world of white supremacy. We live in a world where white women are the beauty standard, and white women are elevated the way that they are because they're attached to white men, and white men went around raping and pillaging and plundering, and they basically won the quote unquote race war. And now black women have to exist in a world where white women are always like better than them in a way, right? Like, and now let me read to you. Let me go back in here, because I want you to understand what the myth of the white woman is. Okay, so here it is. The myth of the white woman refers to a historical and cultural construct that has been used to define and uphold certain expectations and privileges associated with white women in Western societies, particularly in the United States. This myth has deep historical roots and has been influential in shaping societal attitudes and norms. Key elements of the myth of white womanhood. I'm sorry, not the myth of the white woman, the myth of white womanhood. Number one, purity and virtue. White women were often depicted as the epitome of purity, innocence, and virtue. This portrayal was used to contrast them with women of other racial backgrounds and to emphasize their supposed moral superiority, right? So all of these things that are in this list are going to be things that like black women have historically not have access to, or historically not have the benefit of the doubt. And it's directly tied to the power dynamic and the relationship between black men and white men. Okay. Number two, fragility. Fragility and vulnerability. White women were frequently portrayed as fragile and in need of protection, reinforcing the idea that they were incapable of handling the challenges of the world without the guidance and support of white men. So this rolls into there is no strong, independent white woman. There is only the strong, independent black woman, right? That gets labeled with masculinity, and they're not only being masculine and disagreeable, but also unattractive in her masculinity, right? Then there's number three, domesticity. The myth promoted that the idea that white women's primary role was within the home, taking care of their families and maintaining a comfortable domestic environment. This concept was used to justify their exclusion, from many spheres of public life. Now, this is where, it gets kind of confusing with black women, where black women, and I'm going to dive into this in a minute, right? But where black women, like, you got one group that wants to be strong and independent, right? And they want their own autonomy, and they want to basically be, and I liked how I think it was Mr. Z put it, they want to be, they want to define what blackness is. They want to be the face of it. Okay. And there's a resentment that black men are the face of it, despite black women's achievements or accomplishments, which, are over exaggerated, because when you look at the numbers, it's not, like they say it is. They're Black women are doing better in some areas and worse in other areas when you want to talk about the difference between black men and black women. But you got a lot of women that want to run around and act like, they're just doing all better in all areas. Okay. But the thing is like, this is where the passport bros stuff comes into play, and these women are resentful of the fact that black men are admired around the world. And I'm not saying that there isn't racism. Don't get that twisted. Don't act like there's not anti-blackness in the world. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying black men are admired in the world in a way that black women are not. And this frustrates, many of these women, these especially the women that run off with these, black feminist theory, and they end up being on some Negro bedwench shit. The whole "where are you going" and the whole being frustrated, with the passport bros and all that. I'm not saying that you don't have passport bros that are, fucking up and doing dumb shit abroad. But I'm saying, even when we look at the interracial numbers, which again, it's a small portion of black men that are dating out, but even that small portion is more than the black women, who are dating out. And so, there's this competition between black women and black men, whether black men are aware of it or know it or not. And this goes back to the Ali Wong, comedy clip where Ali Wong, was talking about, like, basically when a woman becomes more successful, she doesn't get the same rewards as a man does. Now, my question is, do you want those rewards? Do you want to pull up, to the club in your Lamborghini and then tell, a man to get in the passenger seat? I don't care if it's a black man or not. Is that what you want to do? Because she was talking about, during her, comedy skit, Ali Wong, I think it was called the Don Wong was the show, and she was just like, I want a side piece. I want Michael B. Jordan to bust in my face, like a fire hydrant. Right. And this was a married woman who, now she's divorced. And I have a video covering this. I talked about this, but it's that sort of penis envy. It's that wanting to have, recognition. And then see, this is where the patriarchy is a problem, because the patriarchy doesn't have a reward system for women like that. And then you throw in, these women wanting global validation, women like Crystal Karazine, who was married to a white man, had 3 kids by a white man. She was in the suburbs, big ass house in the suburbs, right? Right. When she did that video, she spun around, I'm in the vineyards and all that other stuff, right? That's what she was saying. But yet she could not, in all the time that she was online on YouTube, she could not keep black men out of her mouth. And again, the father of her first child was a black man. And this is, part of the reason why a lot of black men, they don't buy all the, we want white men, we desire and lust white men. I don't even think it's so much that I hear, brothers saying that they want what? No, they want the position. Wanting the position that white women are in is totally different than actually wanting white men. And this is where, they're obviously what they want, collides with the possibility of even getting that. Right. It's the same thing that I say about the women that don't support patriarchy, and then the bitch about we don't want patriarchy, but we're going to hold you to a patriarchal standard. And on top of not supporting patriarchy, when we have the boys and we raise them, we're going to raise them in this sort of Frankenstein situation where, we think that we're going to be able to teach them responsibility devoid of leadership. We think that we're going to be able to teach them responsibility, and they're going to have the drive to produce and provide for us what white men provide for white women, after we take out all of the rewards and the incentives and the privileges for men, because again, the feminism, they don't want that. And I think to a great deal they don't want that, not just because they don't want to do what a black man has to say. That, that's part of it, but also because they view black men as inferior to them. In other words, this is like the female version of a colorist black man, where a colorist black man, no matter what, he's colorist. A black woman will never be good enough for him because in his mind, other races of women are more beautiful and have more value to him than a black woman ever could. And there's black women out here who hide behind all this other bullshit activism, pro community, or we must smash the patriarchy, all this stuff, where at the end of the day they just don't view you like that as a black man. That's just how it is. Now they'll say, oh, it's because that's black men's reputation, this, that, and the third. But again, we've already discussed that when they come across a man that's established, they sabotage the whole situation. They run off in the other direction, because at the end of the day, he and what he has to offer is not good enough, especially as an individual black man. Because getting with a successful black man still isn't going to get her the validation that she wants. It's still not going to get her on the red carpet. It's not going to make other races of men thirst her, right? Like the idea is, like, when you look, white men have created this whole system that has made all white men thirst white women, or encourage the idea of non-white women to look like white women, or be these racially watered down versions that are closer to white women, that have proximity to white women's beauty. And a lot of black women, in their minds, they want this whole world reversed. And this goes back to Divines Brown. If y'all want that type of respect, you got to win a race war. You see, like in other words, when a woman is this far gone, there's nothing that you can do. Patriarchy isn't going to resolve it. Being a better patriarch isn't going to resolve it. That's not going to fix the problem, because they don't want patriarchy, and they most certainly don't want patriarchy from you, because you don't control the system. You see, they want what white women have, everything, all of it. The movies, the media production, the thirst, the lifestyle, the jewelry, the lack of stress. You know what I mean? That's what you see when you see all these black women with the luxury lifestyle. That's what I was saying in the video. You got these black women running around like, it's like, when you look at them, they're not like black women trying to be black women in black women's essence, while they're, showing off, they're in the luxury lifestyle. They always come off like they don't have their own identity to them. And they come off like imitation white women. And then one of the things that the brother brought up on the Dr. T. Hassan Johnson's show, and I'm going to get back to the list because I got two more to go on that list of the myth of white womanhood. One of the things that the brother brought up is about the coolness of black men, the swag of black men, which admittedly not all of us have that. But the fact of the matter is again, black men, due to media promotion and stuff, they have that mystique. You know what I mean? If a black man gets off a plane, if he's tall and gets off the plane in Asia, they like Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Like, they just start, saying stuff like, they just start rattling off black male celebrities. But with a black woman, what black female celebrity would they rattle off? If the woman's light skin, I bet you might have somebody say Beyonce. You might have somebody say Kelly Rowland. You might. You know what I mean? But they don't get that type of treatment, that type of that type of fascination. Now, I've seen women say, "Oh, when we go to Europe, all these white men, they thirst us," and there's some bullshit in there, because some of that has to do with the men are significantly older, or it has to do with the association of black women with prostitution in France and most of Europe. I've seen, black women be like, oh, black women coming from America who's never been to Europe, they go there and they think, oh my God, I'm being thirsted. They want me. Yeah. But then the black women who are in the know, they're like, no, these men will, grab on you and touch you and act like your body is for sale. And if you don't, reciprocate, then they, call you, some derogatory term in French, that's for, black, prostitutes or something like that. You see? So, again, they don't, I remember saying this to Captain Soul a long time ago, and I didn't have the words for it, because he doesn't particularly care for it because he doesn't like black male arrogance. Because the way he looks at it is, dark skinned black men were not in, 40 years ago. You know what I mean? Like it was light skinned dudes that were in, and he's like, the same way you all came in through white controlled media promotion is the same way that you can go out. All they got to do is start putting, look at how much we snap every time they try to put a black man in a dress, or they try to, you promote a dark skinned black man with some homosexuality. Notice how the dark skinned, the down low black man is always the dark skinned black man. He's not the gay black man. Excuse me, the light skinned black man is just the openly gay black man. But the dark skinned black man is the down low black man. And usually, he'll be some dude that's, bald headed and, has all of the, the characteristics physically that any straight, black woman would be moved by, right? So he's like this Tiki Barber looking black guy. They got to make him on the down low, because he's got that masculine, aspect to it, which, is something that even like the homoeroticism that goes on in Hollywood with white men, that's part of the reason why they put that shit up there. Same thing in Europe when they go and they get these, female models that look like prepubescent boys. Right? There's a lot of homoeroticism in the white world, in the white space, when it comes to that. That's what that goes back to, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing and, her attitude and arguments about, homosexuality not being, a thing that black people engaged in or practice like that. And then Tariq's theory about buck breaking and why, Jamaicans are so homophobic and all that. And I don't know about, all of that. That's not even something that I would co-sign. I think homosexual people have been in the world and in every community. I don't think there's one group that has it, more than the other. I just think that when it comes to white men, there's been more white male homosexuals who've been in positions of power to do some wild shit in their homosexuality, to do some Harvey Weinstein type of shit with their homosexuality because they're in positions of power and have wealth and, and then they're protected by white male privilege, and especially the white men that are on the down low that nobody knows that that's what they're on. We've seen this with, politicians with tapping their feet in the bathroom stalls at airports and stuff like that, trying to, solicit, young men and stuff. We've seen that. We've seen white men in positions of power, in positions, in politics and stuff like that, using their position in order to, get whatever they need. No different than, a straight man using his position to get, what he wants from women. Right. Trying to think what else is going to cover. So I talked about domesticity. Then we have racial hierarchy, the myth that white womanhood was closely tied to the broader system of racial hierarchy in which white people were considered superior to people of other racial backgrounds. White women played a central role in maintaining this hierarchy by upholding the supposed moral and social standards of white society. And then there's the weaponization. Weaponization, the myth of white womanhood, has been used as a tool of racial control and oppression. False accusations of sexual misconduct against black men, for example, were historically used as a pretext for violence and lynching during the era, of Jim Crow and segregation. So that's the white woman in the park in New York with the dog, all the sorts of Karen stuff. Um, what's another example? Just the way that white woman would be more readily believed of a sexual assault than for a black woman. Right? That's the idea that their word and their tears and their tongue, have more power and influence and sway than a black woman's. Right? And I skipped over the racial hierarchy. We know that one. White women played a central role in maintaining this hierarchy by upholding supposed moral and social. Yeah, so we know about the racial hierarchy one, right? So all of these things are things that get underneath the skin of black women. And I don't think black men, really, because I mean, look, I don't want to put down the brothers on Dr. T. Hassan Johnson's, show, because I came in way late. But when the brother came on and he was pointing this shit out, and again I had just touched on it because I didn't really focus on that, but now I'm definitely going to focus on it because I'm like, okay, so I'm not the only person that's picking up on this vibe, that these women, like, in other words, it's like look, do I feel bad? That, like, collectively as black men, like we live in this world that's like this. I mean, it's like we got our own problems that we have to deal with. And it's not that I don't understand, what black women are going through when, they have to live in the shadow, of, white womanhood, right? And, there's when it comes to black men, there's always that, yeah, motherfucker, if it wasn't for this system, I would have beat your ass a long time ago. Like, if it wasn't for the police or whatever. And it's like, even with that sort of leverage that white men have, there's this attitude, this energy, like, yeah, you're a bitch ass because the system is protecting you. Right? The system is protecting you. You got the cops and all the other stuff, but you can't, you won't see me on the battlefield on the 1v1, type of situation. And there's a lot of white men who even feel that, that black men not only harbor a whole bunch of resentment, and they're just sitting around waiting and ready to unleash it, which is, further exacerbates, white supremacy and discrimination, especially in the workplace. But also, what's the other thing about the white men, feel some type of way about? Damn, it's just at the tip of my tongue. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that. That they, that black men are, that they've, that the black men have, in being in the struggle. I mean, this was even mentioned in that movie American History X, about how black men, yeah, they're in poverty and they're warring with each other, and inner city black on black violence, all that good stuff, right? But in the movie, the Nazis in the movie made the point that that the black guys were basically, they were ready for war because they're out there constantly warring with each other on a daily basis. You, on the other hand, you have no training, you have no skills, you have no combat experience. We don't even know if you got the heart. You see, and I mean, that goes back to all the way back to, American History X. Trying to think what else, because I did skip to that part that I wanted to get to. But yeah, I mean, I feel bad that, I mean, it's like black men, we're dealing with our own struggles in the system of white supremacy. And I understand that, sisters, they want some of this turned around, but the part that kills me is where they think, like in other words, it's like they got to make a decision. It's like, either you support patriarchy and you support the empowerment of your men, right? And you hope that they'll do the right thing, which they don't have the faith that black men are going to do the right thing. or you undermine your men and you basically, you end up with this situation. I've been arguing this point since I came online. Unlike a lot of dudes that they're mad about all other type of weird, dumb, stupid shit when it comes to women and just, oh, they got attitude. I'm like, man, it goes deeper than that. You know what I mean? I listen to their complaints and I'm like, what is the problem? Okay, the problem is X. Okay, let's resolve X. And then you come to find out, no, 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 we don't want that fixed. No, 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 no. It's like, oh, well, what do you want me to do? I'm here to address the problem. And then you start discovering that there's this other psychological shit going on in the background, right? I want to be able to complain about you not being a patriarch, but I don't want you actually to fix the problem and be a patriarch, because I'm over here on some other shit where I want, global patriarchy dismantled, because I think that is going to help me be recognized when I eliminate those standards that, like, Ali Wong was talking about. Right? If I can get rid of the patriarchy globally by first starting in the black community and getting all of you off of patriarchy, then white men will recognize us not only for our beauty but for our accomplishments and achievements, right? So there's this neurotic obsession with having access to what white women have access to through white men that a lot of these women aren't even physically or sexually attracted to. I mean, if you notice, like, a lot of these women that are divestors and they cannot keep black men out of their mouth. They'll be with a white guy 3-4 years and they can't keep black men out of their mouth. And I mean, this goes back to what Captain Solo said, even as a light-skinned dude, where he pointed out, he said, he's like, light-skinned dudes can't validate black women. You know what I mean? Because we're not their counterpart. We can't validate them. I could sit there and I could talk about how beautiful a dark-skinned chocolate sister is all day. It doesn't mean the same coming out of my mouth that it means coming out of a black man that's the same complexion as her. Because when they go out into the world, you know what I mean? Like, and again, this is where more frustration comes in, because a lot of black men play into the elevation of other races of women and white women over black women. You know what I mean? So black women feel betrayed in regards to that. We feel betrayed in regards to other areas, right? Like when it comes to raising the boys and patriarchy, and then, like what happened to Captain Solo. Captain Solo got beat up. It was it's an incident that happened at school. He got beat up on his way home, and his father put him in karate class, and his mother took him out of karate class. And remember, his mother, she was out there, she had brought, 3 dark-skinned stepdaddies into Captain Solo's life. And the second one, who was abusive, damn near took her out of this world, and I don't want to say it, but y'all know what happened to his mother 5 times with a 38, right? So, even Captain Soul is like, so let me get this right. So you're disciplining me by sicking, these guys on me to discipline me. They're beating my ass. I go to school, I get in a fight, right? I get my ass beat by some kids at school. Dad goes and puts me in martial arts class. You take me out of martial arts class because you're threatened by the idea that I will not only eventually be bigger and stronger, than you, that you can't control without the authority, without these other men that are being used as sick dogs, but you don't want me to have the skills the skills and the size that I'll inevitably get to be able to resist you and your authority, right? So she basically, took him out of the martial arts class. But here's the stupid part. But you're sicking men on me that when they turn on you, which one of them did, there's nothing that I can do as your son to protect you because you took me out of martial arts class. I mean, this is the equivalent of the women that will say things like, black women that'll talk about, the black woman is not protected. And then when we get to discussions about the Second Amendment, they don't want black men having guns. And I'm like, but then they'll slam black men for not protecting black women. I'm like, how protect you with what? What is he supposed to protect you with? And then you get into the stupid shit where they basically like want you to go out there and symbolically fall on the sword, to demonstrate your love for them, right? Again, same thing. Wanting black men to be, powerful but not too powerful, right? Wanting black men to, be to take on patriarchal responsibilities, but not the leadership component, not any of the expectation component of what she has to do or what she has to contribute, right? Not what's the word that I'm looking for? Not having to, facilitate any sort of reward system, right? They don't want to do any of that stuff. And then again, this is where things fall apart, where, these men end up, dating outside the race. And again, it's like a vicious cycle. It spins out of control, right? Because I'm not even here to get into the chicken before the egg, but it's like there's a lot of things that black women do that black men don't like. And there's a lot of stuff that black women do that's like that disrespectful disposition. And then the black men get tired of it and they go out there and they interracially date, right? Or we can flip it. It goes in the other direction. A dude's just, colorist, or, he sees the other races and women promote it. He goes out there, the black woman feels some type of way. And then, she further feels some type of way and, doesn't, value him or have issues with him because she's never felt valued, right? So it just kind of like spins on its own axis, right? I've been always trying to make, women like make their shit make sense, and their shit doesn't make sense. And they don't, and as much as they want to throw out colorism and everything else, I'm like, what you're saying, all this FD signifier stuff, what you're saying is going to force me over there. Because most guys are not going to be, alone. And like I said, in the other video that I didn't get to post because it got flagged. But it's like, no, they don't. I mean, it's so bad with this, black, feminist theory stuff that, again, they don't even want you, forget going over the fence. Obviously, they don't want you to do that, take your resources over there. No, they don't even want you to just go off and be celibate like what Captain Solo talks about. They don't even want you doing that, because at the end of the day, if you're with another race of woman, you're reinforcing patriarchy, right? Which what they're trying to do is tie it in with white supremacy, right? Even though the whole rest of the world is on patriarchy. So you're going to tell me that the Chinese and the Arabs and whatever other groups out here got their how they operate from white men? So it was egalitarian, society in feudal Japan until the white man showed up. Like, it's just nonsense. It was egalitarian society in India until the white man showed up. Nonsense, right? At the end of the day, men are bigger and stronger. Men engage in combat and warfare and all that other stuff, and they compete, for sexual access to women. It's like, I'm trying to think something else. Like somebody was talking about, they were talking about, something that women get pissed off about the like how an older man can date a younger woman, and like how come older women can't do that. I'm like, that's up to the women. If all women decided we're not dating older men, then it wouldn't be an option for older men. But older men have resources, and younger women are willing to get with older men. But younger men are not willing to get with older women like that. Not for, a serious relationship. Women will hang around as long as the resources are there. That's just a difference of behavior. That's not because of the patriarchy. You know what I mean? Y'all think that like a whole system has to be set up. And here you got a guy that's like, hey, young fresh 25-year-old, yeah, I might be 50, but hey, I've been on the planet longer than all these young guys that are your age. I got these rocks over here. I got these bear furs. Hey, if you come over here with me, you get access to all this bear fur. The women was like, get with a guy that's my age that doesn't have shit, or get with an older man that has resources and can actually provide for a family if I were to have a child. I think I'm going to get with the guy that has the resources. This is a decision that women made. That's not patriarchy. That's not patriarchy. Now what could be argued is patriarchy is, women's access to, certain jobs. But even Captain Solo and myself, we found a hole in that. Like, even when it came to like the color purple, we were talking about the color purple. Color purple, the time period was like 1925 to like, or 1920 to like 1950 was the time period of the movie, which 10 years in there, you know, was obviously the Great Depression. And it's like, when women are like, well, women were being discriminated against and they didn't have access to jobs. Well, what type of jobs were available in the 1920s and the 1930s? The vast majority of them were manual labor jobs. So where men were making more money, where they were making more money on manual labor jobs. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like the vast majority of men were working these white collar jobs in the 1920s sitting at a computer. No, they were in the coal mines and they were on the railroad and they were, working the docks and stuff like that, like manual back breaking labor. That's what they were doing. Anytime you go on, I mean, they got the videos on YouTube. Go to the videos in the early 1900s of New York City and whatnot, and you see a bunch of white people walking around, pushing wagons, boxes on their shoulders and shit like that. Like that's what you see. You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, like when women are talking about like women were, they were relegated to being, domestic women or being a seamstress or something like that. Yeah, and the men were relegated to, being the guys shoveling the coal at the bottom of the Titanic. You know what I mean? Get real. So there's a lot of feminist, ahistorical, stuff going on. And some of it is tied to, like, in other words, again, this goes back to the winter race war conversation. Like, that is so big. That's not even something that realistically an individual black man can address. You start saying, filing complaints about, brothers need to make more money and this, that, and the third. And even, and let me say this, I'm saying, that's more reasonable. That's something that an individual man can achieve. But even with that, like, one of the things that, when it comes to, black men being more educated, real talk, these black women that complain about black men not having their shit together, they don't care about the educated lames. They don't want the educated lames. They've never wanted the educated lames. They only complain about that usually after 30 and after a kid, after the street dude done left them and whatnot. And we've talked about that before. But what they really want is they want the man that they want, the street dudes that they want. They want them to be to get an education, because you can't, anybody can get an education, but you can't make a lame have the mentality of somebody like Future. That's a personality trait, and they want the personality traits intact. The dude being funny, charismatic, driven, smooth talker, all that stuff. They want it to be intact. They just wish that he would go off and get his education and be able to provide. I'm saying, for the women that, want to be with those guys and aren't on some, hardcore, some hardcore feminist stuff. But educated lames, the bottom line, many of us do not have the personality. I mean, even when I listen to Dr. Cezanne Johnson, quite a few people, not even Dr. Cezanne Johnson, but there's a lot of guys that will call in, and I can hear the awkwardness in your voice. I can hear the corniness in your voice. And I'm saying that as somebody who considers himself an educated lame. Cap always gives me praise because he's like, dude, nah, I really got to commend you. And I said, why? For what? He was like, because you did what most ELs don't do. And I said, what is that? I said, you went to the gym. Yeah, I tried out for the football team when I was 16. Didn't like football. I was playing basketball at the time. Didn't like football. I got hit hard. I got hit hard twice. One time, I swear, like, the dude rearranged my knees. And then another time I got hit hard. It was like, my whole head was just ringing. I mean, it was like a concussion. I mean, it was just, my brain just immediately went to having a migraine. I took my helmet off. I was like, yo, that's it, right? I mean, just rattled my brain. It was like helmet to helmet contact. I couldn't take it, but when I quit football, the one thing I took from it was, um, I took from, working out, and I started working out, and, I started gaining muscles, and the next year, I started working out at 16. The next year, a girl that was a senior in my high school, that was, by all standards, bad, but one of the hottest girls in the high school, she wanted to, sit on my dick. And we arranged it, and it happened. I didn't know what I was doing, of course, which leads me to another point about women who, want, I hear all this, I want a man to have game. I want a man to be able to talk me out of my panties. I want a man that knows what he's doing in the bedroom. You know what I mean? And it's like, he's got to have experience to do that. You know what I mean? And then they'll complain that that the man is being unfaithful, the man that he runs his body count is high, and all this other. Of course, where did you think you were going to get a man with all that game and all that swag and knowing his way around, the bedroom? Like, where did you think you were going to get that? What do you think? We like come out of the womb and, we just know our way around, what we're doing. I know I didn't. I'll be the first one to admit it. I didn't even bust. I didn't, because I didn't know at that point, freaking doing it myself felt better. You're right. Like, so I didn't know what I was. I was nervous. It was horrible. It was a terrible experience. I won't say it was terrible. It was weird. It was like, I was like, oh my God, it's so warm. like that was my first thought. It is warm up in here. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm just saying, yeah, but a lot of this stuff, and I loved how the brother called it out. This is the type of stuff that has not been examined. Now, Margot Jefferson brought it up in the 1970s, a clip of her floating around YouTube where she talked about this. This sort of respectability politics that revolves around white womanhood. But what doesn't get discussed is the either the hatred or the resentment of black men, right? Because black women are connected to us and white women are connected to white men, and white women are afforded certain, luxuries and this whole myth of white womanhood, being connected to the white man that the black woman does not get being connected to us. Okay. And a lot of black women are running around with all this anger and animosity towards black men don't even know where it's coming from. We thinking it's one thing and it's this. Right. And then what ends up happening is the women, they got these, this is like their version of like self-hatred. Okay. They're running around, they got this going on, but then they latch on to all these other things. It's because, colorism and nobody was checking for me. And it's like, and then it's like, okay, what do you want? And I'm saying, I said this before, who's really the most honest about this is the divestors. The divestors are the most honest about this. Now, I'm saying, when I say they're the most honest about it, I'm saying, I don't even think they're aware of this, but when they speak with all of their misandry and contempt and hatred for black men, when they speak on it, they're actually highlighting what the issue is. Like, if you notice, like, whenever you hear the divestors talk, they're always like, and white men do this, and white men do that, and white men, and they're better patriarchs. And you ever notice that? Right? It's all, notice how the majority of the conversation is what white men can do for them. It's not like, you don't hear the same, like when black women would jump up, when black women were throwing their panties at the screen at Killmonger, you don't hear that about white men. Even when black women try it, like, it's kind of like, it just doesn't come off as genuine because the energy is not the same. I'm like, no. I'm gonna need you to have the same energy that you have for Killmonger. And you don't see that. Instead, what you hear a lot more of when black women are talking about white men is they're talking about what things of substance white men can provide, right? What sort of global validation they can bring to the table. And it is just that. It's global validation. See, black men can only bring black women validation internally in the community. And black women, and again, the whole thing is that, you know, when an Asian woman's with an Asian man, an Asian woman can confidently say her man prefers her. A white woman can confidently say her man prefers her. A Hispanic woman can confidently say, her man prefers her. But a black woman, an American black woman, they don't know. They don't know where they stand. And if anything, they'd argue that they don't stand anywhere with black men because, again, when they see the minority of celebrities and the women that they put up there, it's exoticals, it's light skin, it's others, because black men a lot of times are trying to, show how worldly they are. I remember when that shit was going on in the early 2000s. Freaking, I'd say it started with Pharrell and Snoop Dogg with Beautiful. That whole we're going to Brazil and all these women that were racially ambiguous and that there were actually locations of women that looked like Chili from TLC. You mean there's more than one? You know what I mean? And dudes were losing their mind. And then you had the whole, I remember when, like Trey songs and like you hear the stuff in songs where they would say, my car is foreign, my bitch is foreign, everything is foreign, my suits is foreign, everything is foreign. Nigga, I don't even stay in the country. I spend 8 months out of the year out of the country. It was all that. And again, it looked like, the world was embracing black men when they would shoot these music videos and everywhere they went, they have, we're in Italy. Yes, we got Italian bitches in the back of the car. Oh, we're in Japan. Oh, we got Asian chicks in the back of the car. Then they, rapping like on some Kendrick Lamar type shit. With Asian chicks, with the camera panning across, some Asian chick laying on the bed, like, yeah, we got access to that too. I mean, if you look at music videos and you look at entertainment, you would think black men got access to everything. Everything. And while black men are out there sampling the world, black women have never, been in the spotlight. Like dark-skinned black women have never been in the spotlight where black men seemingly have, presented black women in a way that they thirst them like that. So they're not secure in that reality like other races of women are. And it hurts. It hurts. And many of us, we have seen at one time or another a white chick say, and you see it on TikTok and shit like that. They like, in other words, it's fucked up out here if any old non-black woman can feel comfortable enough to get on camera and basically, put down black women and say, I can get the best of yours and you can't get the best of mine. Or the idea that your man want us more than they want you. No non-black woman should be able to comfortably say that about, black women. But, then you got the other stuff that goes on in the background where, like, black women, it's like, even if you want to back them up, here they come with the, I'm not doing this, and I ain't doing that, and I ain't doing this, and the attitude and all that other stuff. I mean, it's so bad that even when it came to those video clips about, being in the Philippines, all those women were up there, basically reciting what black women say word to word. We know what you all say. Why are you talking about us? Why are you talking about how uneducated we are? We know exactly how you feel about your black men. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the reverse of the situation. It's like, they're like, hey, I don't have, an issue with black men and y'all out here talking crazy about him. And I don't have no, he treats me great and I treat him great. And now you're mad. But all we hear online is about how terrible black men are. And it's a rape and pillage and plunder and they abuse black women and this, that, and the third, right? That's all they hear. That black men ain't shit and everything else. Listening to the divestors. I mean, even Asian women haven't even gotten, you got 2 hours of Asian, white male, Asian female of Asian women, basically, subtly highlighting their preference for white men. And this is something that Mr. Z brought up, that it's the, I think it's Mr. Z, but anyway, that the entire world is on. The positioning of white men has affected the entire world. Because it ain't like, and I've said this before, it's not like Asian men, Asian women don't want Asian men because Asian men haven't built an Asian community where Asian women feel safe and secure, in America. I mean, that's total cap. Asian folks got businesses. They got the highest incomes, but yet and still, despite all of that, you have Asian women talking about, I need me a Chad, I need me a Brad, I need me a Grant Wellington the third, right? So clearly, when it comes to the Asian woman, it has more to do with the status and the prestige, and again, that the politics around the myth of white womanhood, than it does any failure on the part of Asian men, right? This is where somebody special will come through and be like, no, see, the problem is Asian men have failed to assert themselves, right? That'll be the argument. Well, it depends on where we're at, right? That could be argued in America, but that can't be argued in Asia, right? Because I'm saying you got all women that they're into the K-pop stuff, right? The most, the successful bands in the world, or a lot of them are in Korea. What's that one, the B2D, BYD, whatever the heck it is? I don't even know. No, BYD is like the Chinese car company. What's that Korean? I don't know what the Korean group is. I don't care. All they, it's Tariq. Was it Tariq? Who was talking about it? No, FD Signifier, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. But I'm saying, imitation is a form of flattery. But yeah, the Korean R&B scene, like it ain't poo poo R&B. Like, how like when white people try to sing R&B, it's like hit or miss. It's like every once in a while you'll get like a Amy Winehouse or something like that. But no, the Koreans hit. The Koreans hit when with the hip hop, the Koreans hit with the dance moves, the Koreans hit with the music, with the R&B. They can sing, they can rap, they can dance. And I'm saying they do it, to the point of black people would definitely nod their head, with a suggestion of high approval. But what else I was gonna say? There was something else I was gonna say about them thinking and going through the Rolodex in my head. Um, let me think. 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 I think that's it. I just don't think that this is. I mean, this was said on Dr. T and Son Johnson's show. You'll see my comments at the end, towards the end of the show. But no, this is something that is not examined. Because there's and as far as Captain Solo was concerned, Captain Solo was like, hey, like there's stuff that I can like this is the whole thing, our problem with BGS. Okay, his whole Guatemalan women with dirt floors. That's not what we're trying to offer. But at the same time, if what I'm not trying to offer a black woman bullshit, but if I'm offering the best that I can offer and that's not good enough, either one of us has to walk. Either she's got to walk or I got to walk. Because I'm not gonna sit there and this is directly from Captain Solo, and I wholeheartedly agree with him. I'm not gonna sit there and I'm doing my best and it's not good enough, and then you're gonna just disrespect what I'm doing because it's not good enough to you, because of whatever the historical context of slavery and Jim Crow and white people dominate everything, and so what I'm offering to you is not good enough because you only bought me a Lexus and the white woman got a Bentley. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like at that point it's like, okay, fine, we're defeated. I can't be with you. Not if you're going to view me like that. And then this, you'll get the people that get into the, build a black man up, all that type of stuff, and encourage him to do better and all that, which, It's not something that I see, a whole bunch of black women doing. They're so busy trying to focus on themselves and their own empowerment and, preparing themselves to operate independently of black men. I already talked about, we have two different cultures in terms of how black men are raised versus how black women are raised. Black men are raised with responsibilities in a vacuum, while black girls are raised to basically be strong and independent. And those two things are not compatible, when you get into, these adult relationships. But it's like what I said. I mean, if a black woman views me in that light, it's one of the reasons why I got a problem with white Jesus. If I'm doing for you, the last thing I want to hear is I'm doing for you, and the first thing out your mouth is thank you, Jesus. Well, no, thank me, because I did it, because I need that type of acknowledgement. I need that. I need to know that what I'm doing you approve of. Just the same as a black woman needs to know that a black man finds her desirable and isn't going to, I don't know why they have this idea, but it's like black man's walking down the street with a black woman, sees a white woman, goes, "Oh, sorry, Keisha, I'm out." Right? Like no. You know what I mean? But again, if they feel that way, that is some, and you're a black man and you want to be with a black woman, you gotta make her feel, that that you do desire her, because that's important to women. And not only to make the woman, because one of the things that I recognize is making the woman feel as an individual that you find her desire. That's not good enough. You have to make the category feel that they're desired. Like the category of dark skinned women, that light skinned women aren't just going to walk in the room and then y'all going to go, "Oh, well, I mean, light skins are here, so I must go." Right? Like, no. Right? Or white women are here, I must go. Asian women are here, oh, I must go. Oh, Latinas walked in the room. Sorry, Keisha. Sorry, Tatiana. I gotta go. Right? And maybe it wouldn't be so bad if they did feel that way. But I mean, honestly, the media promotion over the last, 30 years of hip hop culture, that shit has not fucking helped. That has not helped at all. And a lot of damage has been done. Just like, when it comes to, I see all these rappers, there's like even like 50 Cent and Jay-Z and, people calling them out on, being billionaires and what they're doing for the black community. And, 50 Cent, I like his growth. I really do like 50 Cent's growth. Jay-Z, Jay-Z don't really seem like he owns, like, he'll say things, and I'm like, nigga, you was one of the main ones that got all these young boys out. Like, how many black men are dead because, they were jumping off of your music? And like, how many black men, are in wheelchairs because they were jumping off of your music? And the same could be said about 50 Cent and all these rappers. Even Ice Cube. You go back and listen to Ice Cube's early. They were on some gangster shit. That was what they were on. And I remember, who was saying it? It was somebody who was saying it. India Irie. She made a point when she was talking about, criticizing the Essence Awards. And she said, she was like, talking about, like, I guess, like, the whatever, the Sukihanas and the Sexy Reds and Lil Kims of the world and everything. It's like, she's made the point that she could be, I'm paraphrasing, she said that she could be basically, 60 years old, 100 years old, and she can still sing her songs. But is Lil Kim going to be able to sing her songs at 60 years old? Is Sexy Red or Sukihana going to be able to sing, their songs, at 60 years old? You see what I'm saying? Like their catalog of music is not timeless. You know what I mean? Like we'll be 90 years old and Brown Skin will come up on the radio, right? And that's not something that India Arie is going to be ashamed of. But when it comes to the stuff that, has been put out, I'm pretty sure Ice Cube is ashamed of some of the music that he's put out. When you really, look around and you look at the community and you look at these 14-year-olds running around with Glocks and on bicycles and talking about they got ops and all this other stuff. And like 50 said in some TikTok clip I saw, he was like, okay, who's your ops? What happened? You know what I mean? And they can't even come up with a reason. He's like, yeah, they're ops because somebody told them that they're ops. It's just cool to have ops, right? That's what it's turned into. And I'm saying every generation tries to one up the next generation, right? So we had gangster rap in the '90s, and then now it's like drill music, where the nihilism is like over 9,000, right? I mean the drill music. It literally is just talking about committing acts of violence against people. Like that's literally what drill music is. you know, and they all sound the same. They all sound like freaking what's the rapper's name? K Flock. You know what I mean? Like just all of them. You know. Look at the I'm not easy. You know what I mean? Like they just I don't know. I don't know what the Batman voice is all about. I don't get that shit. They all got Batman's voice, you know. You know. Yes, this is Batman. But I'm about to do some drill music. Anyway, but yeah, like I'm just saying, I forget where I'm going with this now, but it's just some stuff to consider. And again, like I said, I don't think black women are so everything's the black man's fault, and we don't have anything to examine on our part. That a lot of this falls on deaf ears, but you know, if you've been around for any period of time, you start to see it. You're like, yo, where is this coming from? And it's and there is a. And I remember, this was stated a long time ago, and I forget who stated it, and it's probably better that I don't remember who stated it because it came out of a private conversation. But yeah, like there is a competition between black women and white women, or black women and every other woman, when it comes to, them being, recognized and getting the dues. It was one of the reasons why, I wish black women wore their natural hair. I'll be the first one to admit that it was more political, for me than it was strictly about beauty. It was strictly about, oh, I just dig natural hair. It was more political. Because even I cringe at, because I know it's coming. I know it's coming. Anytime a black woman gets into it with another race of woman, I'm like, God damn, because you're wearing her hair or her texture of hair, she's going to bring that up. And she's going to call you bald, and she's going to say all this other stuff, right? And then especially if you're a black man and you're out here messing with some of these women, you know what I mean? Then now you like, damn, this chick, she's shitting on black women. I'm kissing this bitch in the mouth, and oh God, because when the insults fly, like nobody gives a fuck. Like it's just I'm here to hurt your feelings, right? And they don't think about shit like that. You know what I mean? I remember there was this she actually, I'm gonna tell you, she was actually biracial, but she looked like she took after her white father more than she took after her Afro Panamanian mother. And I remember when, I don't know, we were talking about something, and she said something to the effect of like, don't nobody want that nappy shit and everything. And I clapped back on her ass so fast she didn't even know what to do. I was like, "Oh, you mean that nappy shit like your mother's hair, right?" And then she got real quiet. I was like, damn, I didn't even know you were on that type time. I didn't even know that's what you were on. You know what I mean? And the funny thing about her is, she turned out to be, on some feminist shit, and then tried to deny it. And I'm like, nah, you on some feminist shit. Like her and I, it was a fleeting moment, but I'm saying I've looked at her over. She's still single. Ain't nobody fucking with her. She's still single. Because I'm like you were trying to basically be the man in the relationship, and you over there, you not even in America. You know what I'm saying? You over there where you got all these, other men, white men, everything else around you. You present like a white woman. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, um, obviously these other men weren't dealing with you, for, that particular reason. Like, yeah, they weren't dealing with you because you out here, you want to be, the one with the power in the relationship. I'm like, anybody going for that, regardless of how good she looked. You know what I mean? But yeah, I had to clap back at her that day. I was like, whoa, 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 ain't nobody want that now, because she don't have, she doesn't have African textured hair. She has hair. She's got white people hair. I'll just call it what it is. She got white people hair. You know what I mean? But somewhere in there, that anti-black bone, was floating around. You know what I mean? And then she did, like, and it was just suspect to me because, she liked to be a part of, Afro Latino events and all this other stuff. And she, like, I don't know, there's some biracial people is weird, when it comes to that. And I'm going off topic, but I'm just saying because, I'm like, you don't like when other people say it. When white people say it, because I've seen her do it. When white people say some out of pocket shit, she'll defend, like her mother, because a lot of people will say shit around her and they don't know that her mother is a black woman. But by the same token, I'm like, we were talking about a totally, unrelated topic, just talking about, somebody's hair, and then all of a sudden, ain't nobody want that nappy shit came out. I was like, oh, so that's how you feel. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, this is just, I think this needs to be seriously examined. We already know about the myth of the white womanhood, but what hasn't been really fleshed out, and I'm gonna go on YouTube, I'm gonna try to pull up some videos about exploring, white womanhood, the myth of white womanhood. But what needs to be examined is, how does this affect black women? How does the living in the shadow of white women affect black women? Yeah, we seen the little girls crying. We seen them, with the low self-esteem and all that other stuff. But how does it affect them to the point that it creates misandry against black men? That's the real, that's what really needs to be examined. So for all you PhDs that like to float around Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, I would say examine that. Anyway, that is my video. Yep, I'm thinking. Yep, that's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. Um, I would encourage to share this video because other people are going to be like, hey, I got to turtle the page. Every time I get flagged, I got to turtle the page. And the strikes don't go away for, like, I mean, they don't go away for, what is it, 90 days? Something like that. You know what I mean? So, it's like, they start throwing more than one at you. Oh, like, nah. You know what I mean? But hopefully this will get, whatever, the appeal I wrote, my appeal. But, if I got something to say, I'll say it on this page. But, I really get, when that shit happens, I don't feel like making vids. You know what I mean? Like when your shit gets flagged and you're trying to protect it, and, people's comments, links, all that stuff, information, topics that people are like, oh, where's that? I'm like, look, you're going to have to, if you remember the video, you probably remember it better than I do. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I gotta, um, what was I about to say? I literally just went blank. Um, yeah, I just gotta, try to protect the page and whatnot. Cause that's how I lost my other page. You know what I mean? Like they threw, they threw, it was like they threw a strike at me, and then they threw like two other strikes at me, like on the same day. I was like, God damn. And I'm gonna tell you the bullshit of YouTube. I'll tell you when that YouTube like wants to get rid of you or something like that. This hasn't been happening. They've been putting a lot of my stuff, on age restricted, which I don't have any problem with because my channel's not monetized. But when what pisses me, nothing pisses me off more than when I have a video that's been up for like a year, 2 years, and out of nowhere, a fucking flag. I'm like, well, this bitch has been up for 2 years. Like, even with this video that they flagged recently, the video had been up for like 20 minutes, and I get a flag on an hour and 38-minute video. You know that's the algorithms, that's the robots. And so somebody's got to manually watch the video and then determine. I guarantee they're gonna. I mean, I even suggested. I'm like, just put it on age restricted. You know what I mean? But there's nothing in here that's inflammatory. You know, to the point of, oh, this is hate speech. You know what I mean? But it's like if you say like gay, Jew, Nazi, or feminism, or like any of these trigger words, guns. If you say any of those words too many times, the algorithms are like, like they go crazy. They go crazy. Just any random combination, they just go crazy. Like I just want to see. I want to see somebody just make a video of just nothing but curse words, and then see what the algorithms do. Just literally just do a long string of curse words and profanity, and then just see what the algorithms do. Like, just see if it just immediately goes to age restriction. I've always wanted to test that out. You know what I mean? But yeah. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. I'm gonna send this to Dr. T. Hassan Johnson and let him, because I sent him some other stuff, but now he can't see it because the page is turtled. So damn, I'm trying to think what the topic was in reference to that. It was related to this, but anyway, I'll because what I noticed is in the conversation on Dr. T. Hassan Johnson's show, he was looking at my comments and he was listening to what the brother was saying, and I was trying to drive the point home, like, yeah, this is something that needs to be paid attention to. This is something that definitely needs to be paid attention to. This whole this misandry that comes from the issue of being attached to us, as a racial group of men, because again, our ancestors lost the race war. I guess it's the equivalent, or not the equivalent, but similar to like the way that like white people have a sense of white guilt because of things like, slavery, right? So there's this lingering guilt, that they have the scarlet letter that they have to wear. Like, yeah, y'all got to wear the scarlet letter, but it's like, would you rather be the scarlet letter of the evil conquerors, or would you wear the scarlet letter of the righteous losers? Like, I mean, like, which one do you want to wear? Neither one is fun. Neither one is fun, right? So it's kind of like that, where it's like, goddamn, this shit. Like, I was born on this team. Like, the fuck? Like, like, you were born on this team too. Like, goddamn, like, yeah, but, because of that, I can't respect you. I can't this, I can't that. So you end up starting as a black man with black women from a very negative place. And a lot of black men are getting tired of that, or they've been tired of that. All the negative skepticism and everything else. And like I said, the lack of trust between black men and black women is so piss poor, that you can't, it's like once black women fall into that, like that void, that once they go over the event horizon of like divestment mentality, there's no getting them back. You can't convince them of anything because they don't believe or trust anything you say, even when you're making sense, even when what you're saying is 100% spot on. You know what I mean? They're so, and this goes into the whole, hating the opposite gender more than you love your own group. Cap and Solo and I, we get into arguments about that shit all the time. And my whole thing is, if at the end of the day, if men and women are not getting together, I don't see the purpose of continuing anything. I just don't see the purpose of it. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, yeah, but what about the boys? Saving the boys. Because I'm the one that says, what about the boys? He's like, what would you have the women do? I'm like, and it comes down to, what he calls a vote, but it's really the support of the idea of them being actual patriarchs. Don't sit there and say, oh, they're terrible patriarchs, but then you don't even support them even being patriarchs to where you could even assess whether they're good ones or bad ones. There just seems to be this whole argument around making anything black men do that black women don't like, or somebody like FD Signifier don't like, anything that they do that they don't like, oh, that's patriarchy. Right? So just anything negative. If a black man does it against a black woman, that's black patriarchy. No, it's not. You know what I mean? That's like an individual act. I mean, that is like the most like white supremacist, thought process, that's out there. Like anytime you see like crimes on television, they're like, yes, sir, see, the whole black community co-signs that. No, the fuck we don't. You know what I mean? Like, guys are smashing and grabbing. It's like, I don't co-sign it. I recognize it as a byproduct of this, this system of inequality, but I don't co-sign. I'm not like, yes, yes. Like, no. I'm just not going to condemn it because I know just how much, white folks ain't about to change the system and make the shit more fair and equitable. Okay, but it's not like the black community is not sitting around, co-signing the shit. You know what I mean? Like I swear, it's like even you listen to these women when they talk about, the black patriarchy, they act like, a bunch of black men went off in the woods somewhere, with a wooden effigy of, a woman that looks like the triangle dress, picture of, the icon, for a woman's bathroom, right? Like a female version of the Wicker Man, and then black men go off in the woods and burn it and start chanting about patriarchy. I'm like, that's not what happens. Most of us, and this is one of the things, let me say this lastly, and one of the things that I can't stand is, where we have this chicken before the egg argument, but I'm saying we're like fucking 40 years, 50 years knee deep in matriarchy. Once women have control over the kids, once women get property and primary residence from the state, it's a matriarchy. It is a matriarchy at that point. Women have control over the children. So all that, legacy and generational wealth through the patriarchy, that's gone. And then on top of that, women have, the federal housing or whatever, and, kick out a man and whatnot. Like once they have the foundation, like they don't need a man at that point, or at least, that's what they say. And the boys that grow up underneath them, yes, I agree with Captain Solo. They cannot teach the boys what the boys need to be taught. But just like Captain Solo with his mother, removing him from martial arts class, then when he goes out there and he can't fight, then it becomes, you black men are weak because you can't fight like the white man. Well, when he was going to get training to go to karate, you took him out of karate. Now you're bitching about the fact that he doesn't know how to fight. Like that's the type of shit that triggers me. I'm like, please go one way or the other. Okay, if you don't support patriarchy, then don't try to measure black men against patriarchy that you don't fundamentally believe in. Okay, if you want to blame men, then support patriarchy. And then you can say, well, you all failed at what you're supposed to do, and we were in full support of. You know what I mean? Like, if I get us lost, slam me for getting us lost while I'm actually in the driver's seat. But don't slam me while, we got lost and you fought me to be in the driver's seat. And then I'm taking a nap thinking everything is good. And then I wake up and then you go, see, it's your fault. See, I wouldn't have been in the driver's seat if y'all wasn't weak and didn't get us. And you knew how to drive. I know how to drive, but you didn't want me to drive. You wanted to drive, remember? You know what I mean? And that's literally what it's like dealing with these women in terms of, these sort of, black men are bad patriarchs argument. And I'm not saying that black men, again, you got the BGS, nonsense of dirt floors and women in Guatemala and, what black women should accept because immigrant women accept it. like that's not what we're offering over here. That's not even remotely what we're trying to offer over here. But I have to, check myself sometimes because, there are a number of BGS type of black men that are out here. I every so often I hear it from time to time. You'll hear these blog talks and not blog talks, but you'll hear these videos and the men they're saying something and it's spot on, and then they'll just fuck it up with like 50-50 and yeah and she should like this shit that Antoine said like a couple days ago talking about, yeah, my wife, she needs to give me her whole paycheck. Like the fuck? Like what? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even know where he's going with that crap. But see, you're saying stuff like that, or you're doing stuff that's just completely unfair and unreasonable. You turn off the women that would listen to what you got to say. Just as much as when the women come through and they start talking some crazy, just out of pocket, yes, and you will go out there and you will build the pedestal and then hand me the control of it, and it's like, I'm gonna hand you control. I built it. I get to determine what goes up there. No, you cannot be fat. No, you cannot have kids out of wedlock. No, you cannot have somebody else's kid. No, you cannot have bad attitude. Here, you got the pedestal. It's an exchange. No, but then they try to, come through with you need to do all the work and then, give us the keys. And it's like, nah, I'm not giving you the keys. It's too much work. I will retain control over this and you will, get what you want. But again, then we run into the problem of, it's not good enough. It's not as big as what the white man got going on. It's not this, it's not that. Where it's like the guy that came up with the Miss America, Miss Black America or something like that. And he came up with that because, for his daughters. But you'll have detractors that'll come through and be like, well, the black Miss America is not as big as the white Miss America. Like, see, at that point, again, we only make up freaking 13% of the population. I mean, seriously speaking, what do you expect? If anything, we should be talking about having beauty contests in Africa and making it a continental, beauty contest in Africa, right? Miss Africa or some shit like that as a continent. Right, get some Wakandan dynamics going on to where we're not always existing in the shadow, of white folks and dealing with the smog, coming from their shit. Because like one of the brothers on the show said, it gets so bad to where we as black people end up upholding white supremacy even when white people aren't even in the room. They're not even in the room and we're holding up white supremacy. Whether it's black men being colorist or whether it's black women stating that, no matter what black men offer, there's white men got some shit that's bigger, somewhere else. And therefore, this is not good enough. And it's scraps and it's crumbs and it's dusty. And you black men, you're just trying to offer black women dustiness. It's like, goddamn, like, you're sitting there thinking like it's like fairly nice. See, that's why you got to get away from the BGS and the dirt floor shit, because see, the thing is if you conflate all of that, you know what I mean, and the woman calls it a dusty floor and it's actually a dusty floor, you can't sit there and dismiss her and say, nah, chick, you just on some bullshit. You know what I mean? But if you got, like your shit is laid out, you got the banquet hall, Nigerian wedding and everything else like that. And then she's still saying this isn't good enough because, freaking, I don't know, Vladimir Putin's nephew, he had a wedding on a yacht, off of the coast of Monaco, on a, freaking yacht that was $150 million or some shit like that. Like, it's like, chick, come on. Come on, unless you can give me that, you just want black women to accept your crumbs. It's like, God damn. You know what I mean? So again, that goes back to what Divine said about, you got to win a race war, in order for, us to get, respect like that. And, that's not something that anybody can realistically accomplish in their lifetime. No African American can accomplish that. And I mean, it's just so out there. It's just completely, out there. Like it's like imagine if like a Jewish woman was like, Israel is not good enough, huh? What you should do is go back to Germany and kick the Germans' ass and take over Germany. They're the ones that were fucking with us. Yeah, and until you do that, we will not have respect. It was like, goddamn. It's like, goddamn. And I'm saying, like, you gotta know, like, hey, like, this is what the fuck I'm offering. I'm not offering bullshit. If this isn't good enough, then one of us gotta get the fuck on. It's just that simple. One of us gotta get the fuck on. So anyway, that is the end of my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. And again, you guys got to share this video, because if y'all don't share this video, since this channel is just the backup channel, this video will not get shared. The views will be stagnant. So anyway, that's my video. SWP out. I'm saying that for the last and final time. I'm out.